The thunderstorm hit downtown Seattle with brutal efficiency, transforming the early evening into a gray, waterlogged nightmare. Iris Morgan stood under the inadequate awning of the office building's entrance, watching sheets of rain blur the world into an impressionist painting. Her phone buzzed with the notification she'd been dreading: "Your driver has cancelled due to severe weather." "Perfect," she muttered, squinting at the screen through the downpour. Without her contact lenses, which she'd lost somewhere between her apartment and the subway that morning, everything beyond a few feet looked soft and indistinct. The glowing headlights of passing cars merged into long, watery streaks, and she couldn't tell a sedan from an SUV. Iris checked the time on her phone and felt panic rise in her chest. She had exactly 25 minutes to reach the Hartwell Tower across town for the most important presentation of her career. After 3 years of grinding as an independent architect, surviving on small residential projects and her meticulous savings, she finally had a shot at something major: a contract to design a mixed-use development for a prominent real estate firm. This project could establish her reputation, prove she belonged in the big leagues. She'd spent 6 weeks perfecting her designs, foregoing sleep and social life to create something truly innovative. She wasn't about to let a storm ruin everything. Through the rain and her compromised vision, she spotted a sleek black car pulling up to the curb. The shape looked right: luxury sedan, dark color. It had to be the rideshare she'd requested before the cancellation went through. Without overthinking, Iris made a dash for it, her portfolio case held over her head as futile protection against the deluge. She yanked open the back door and practically tumbled inside, gasping with relief. The interior was warm and dry, smelling faintly of leather and something woodsy, cedar mixed with rain. Soft classical music played from hidden speakers. "Thank God," she breathed, pushing wet auburn hair out of her face. "I thought I'd have to swim there." The weather app said partly cloudy. "Can you believe that?" "I think there's been a mistake." Iris froze. The voice was deep, calm, and definitely not her usual driver's cheerful greeting. She blinked rapidly, trying to clear her vision, and made out the shape of a man in the shadowy back seat. A very well-dressed man, if the crisp lines of his suit were any indication. Heat flooded her cheeks as reality crashed over her worse than the rain outside. "Oh no. Oh God, I'm so sorry." The words tumbled out in a rush. "I can't see properly without my contacts, and I thought you were my ride and the rain." She fumbled for the door handle, mortification complete. "Wait." The man's voice stopped her, carrying a note of amusement. "Where do you need to go?" Iris hesitated, her hand still on the door. Through her blurred vision, she could make out broad shoulders, dark hair, and what might have been an amused expression. The Hartwell Tower. Business district. "But really, I'll just call another car. I'm so sorry for invading your... In this storm, you'll be waiting an hour minimum." There was a pause. "I'm heading that direction. Let me give you a ride." "I can't accept that from a complete stranger," Iris protested, even as another part of her brain screamed that she was already catastrophically late. "Then let's not be strangers." She heard the smile in his voice. "I'm Cameron." "And you are?" "Soaked." "Mostly." The response came out before she could stop it, and she cringed. "I mean, Iris. I'm Iris Morgan." "Well, Iris Morgan, nice to meet you. Now close the door before you flood my car." The driver, who'd remained silent through the entire exchange, smoothly pulled into traffic the moment Iris settled into the plush leather seat. She was hyper-aware of her dripping clothes, the puddle forming at her feet, the complete unprofessionalism of the situation. "This is absolutely not how adults are supposed to behave," she said, clutching her portfolio case. "I promise I'm not usually this much of a disaster." "Usually?" Cameron's tone was light, teasing. "So this is an exceptional disaster?" Despite her embarrassment, Iris laughed. "Today is special, apparently. Lost my contacts, missed my ride, invaded a stranger's car. I'm going for some kind of record. Well, for what it's worth, you're the most interesting thing that's happened to me all week. There was something genuine in the way he said it that made Iris's heart skip unexpectedly. As they drove through the flooded streets, conversation flowed with surprising ease. So what takes you to Hartwell Tower in the middle of a monsoon? Cameron asked. A presentation that could change my career, Iris admitted, then found herself explaining her architectural vision with the passion she usually reserved for actual clients. I want to design buildings that don't just exist in a space but improve it. That serve the community, not just developers' bottom lines. Cameron listened with what felt like genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions that revealed an understanding of architecture beyond the average person. You really love what you do, he observed as they navigated around a particularly deep puddle. Is it that obvious? It's refreshing. Most people I meet talk about work like it's something they endure, not something they choose. There was weight behind those words that made Iris curious about this stranger's story. What about you? What do you do when you're not rescuing stranded architects? Real estate development, he said with deliberate vagueness. Not as creative as architecture, but it has its moments. Before Iris could press further, the car slowed to a stop. Through her impaired vision, she could make out the towering shape of a modern building, all glass and steel reaching into the stormy sky. Hartwell Tower, the driver announced quietly. Iris grabbed her portfolio, suddenly nervous about the presentation ahead. Thank you so much for the ride. Really, you saved me tonight. I hope it goes well. Cameron's voice was warm, and if she could have seen his face clearly, she might have noticed the knowing smile playing at his lips. Something tells me they'd be foolish not to hire you. That's kind of you to say. Iris reached for the door handle, then paused. I'd offer to pay you back somehow, but I didn't catch your last name. Just Cameron is fine. Good luck, Iris. She stepped out into the rain, which had softened to a drizzle, and turned back to thank him once more. But through the tinted windows, she could only see shadows. The car pulled away smoothly, leaving her standing on the sidewalk with her portfolio, her wet clothes, and a strange flutter in her chest that had nothing to do with nerves about the presentation. Iris had no time to dwell on mysterious strangers. She rushed into the building, found a restroom to attempt damage control on her appearance, and popped in her emergency backup contacts that she kept in her purse. At least now she could see properly. The receptionist led her to a sleek waiting area with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the rain-soaked city. Mr. Sterling will be with you shortly, the woman said with a professional smile. Iris's stomach dropped. Sterling? As in Sterling Development Group? Yes, Cameron Sterling. He's the CEO. The conference room door opened, and Iris's world tilted on its axis. The man who walked in, perfectly tailored charcoal suit now paired with reading glasses that made him look both intellectual and devastatingly attractive, was Cameron. Her Cameron from the car. Except he wasn't just Cameron. He was Cameron Sterling, billionaire real estate mogul, and the client whose project she was about to pitch for. Their eyes met across the room, and Iris watched surprise flicker across his face before transforming into something warmer, something that looked almost like delight. Ms. Morgan, he said, his voice carrying that same warm tone from the car, now edged with barely contained amusement. What a pleasant surprise. Though I suppose I should say, what a pleasant disaster. Iris's mind raced. He'd known. He must have known where she was going, who she was meeting, and he'd said nothing. She opened her mouth to respond, to demand an explanation, to apologize, to say something, anything. Shall we begin? Cameron gestured to the presentation screen, his eyes twinkling with that same teasing warmth that had disarmed her in the car. I'm very interested to hear your vision. Something tells me it's going to be extraordinary. Iris stood frozen in the doorway of the conference room, her mind cycling through a dozen emotions at once. Embarrassment warred with indignation, professional panic tangled with an unwelcome flutter of attraction. Cameron Sterling leaned casually against the presentation table, looking entirely too pleased with himself. "You knew," she said, finding her voice. "In the car, you knew exactly who I was and where I was going." "I had a strong suspicion when you mentioned Hartwell Tower," Cameron admitted, straightening up. His expression softened. "But you seemed nervous enough without adding the pressure of knowing you'd accidentally commandeered your potential client's vehicle." Commandeered? Despite everything, Iris felt a smile tugging at her lips. "I believe you offered." "True." Cameron pulled out a chair, gesturing for her to sit. "And I don't regret it. That conversation was the most honest interaction I've had in months. People tend to lose their authenticity when they know who I am." Iris sank into the chair, setting her portfolio on the polished table with trembling hands. "So this whole thing, was it some kind of test?" "Not at all." Cameron took the seat across from her, and now that she could see him clearly, he was even more striking than his blurred outline had suggested. Sharp, intelligent features softened by genuine warmth in his gray eyes. "It was a happy accident. One I'm grateful for." Taking a deep breath, Iris opened her portfolio. If Cameron Sterling wanted professionalism, she'd give him exactly that. "Mr. Sterling." "Cameron," he interrupted gently. "We've already established we're past formalities." "Cameron," Iris corrected, meeting his gaze steadily. "Let me show you what I can do for your project." For the next 40 minutes, Iris forgot her embarrassment, forgot the strange circumstances of their meeting, forgot everything except the designs she'd poured her heart into. She walked Cameron through her vision for the mixed-use development, not just another soulless glass tower, but a space that would serve the community, with affordable housing integrated alongside market-rate units, green spaces that encouraged gathering, street-level businesses that would activate the neighborhood. She showed him architectural concepts that balanced modern aesthetics with human scale, sustainability plans that went beyond token gestures, and a comprehensive strategy for creating a building that would improve rather than gentrify the neighborhood. Cameron listened with complete focus, occasionally asking questions that revealed a deep understanding of both architecture and community impact. Unlike other developers who just wanted maximum square footage and profit margins, he grasped the philosophy behind her choices. "This is remarkable," he said when she finished, leaning back in his chair. "You've captured exactly what I've been trying to articulate for the past year." "How did you know?" Iris felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I researched your company thoroughly." "But also," she hesitated, then decided honesty had worked so far. "In the car, the way you talked about work, about authenticity. It gave me insight into what matters to you." Cameron was quiet for a moment, studying her with an intensity that made Iris's pulse quicken. "Have dinner with me." "What?" Iris blinked, certain she'd misheard. "Dinner. Tonight." His expression was earnest, vulnerable in a way that seemed at odds with his billionaire CEO persona. "Not to discuss the contract, you have that, by the way. But to continue the conversation we started in the car." Iris struggled to find words. "That's not very professional." "No, it's not," Cameron agreed. "But I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since you tumbled into my car like a rain-soaked whirlwind. And I don't think I'm alone in feeling this connection." Iris's heart hammered against her ribs. Every logical part of her brain screamed that this was a terrible idea. Mixing business with personal feelings never ended well. Her business partner would lecture her. Her mentor would be disappointed. But another part of her, the part that had felt inexplicably comfortable talking to a stranger in the darkness, the part that had laughed despite her embarrassment, wanted desperately to say yes. "One dinner," she heard herself say. "Just to talk." Cameron's smile transformed his entire face. "Just to talk," he agreed, though the warmth in his eyes promised something deeper. The restaurant Cameron chose surprised her, not some exclusive establishment, but a cozy Italian place in a neighborhood she'd never explored, where the owner greeted him by name and teased him about finally bringing a date. "I thought billionaire CEOs only ate at places with Michelin stars," Iris said as they settled into a corner booth. "I'm full of surprises." Cameron's smile was self-deprecating. "Restaurants where people calculate your net worth before they know your name feel exhausting." Over pasta and wine, they talked about everything except business. Cameron told her about building his company from almost nothing, about the pressure of sudden success, about losing himself in the role people expected him to play. Iris shared stories of her struggles as an independent architect, the fear of chasing creative dreams, the loneliness of working alone. "Why architecture?" Cameron asked, watching her with genuine curiosity. Iris considered the question carefully. "Because good design is about connection. It's about making people feel something, helping them understand something, making their lives better. It's problem solving with heart. That's why your presentation resonated so much," Cameron said softly. "You don't just see buildings. You see the people who'll live in them." The conversation flowed effortlessly, interrupted only by laughter and comfortable silences. Iris found herself relaxing in a way she rarely did on dates, if this even was a date. With Cameron, she didn't feel the need to perform or impress. As they finished dessert, tiramisu that Cameron insisted she try, he reached across the table and took her hand. The touch sent electricity up her arm. "Iris, I need to be honest with you. I'm falling for you. Fast and hard and in a way that terrifies me." Her breath caught. "Cameron. I know the timing is terrible. I know we should keep things professional until the project is done. But I can't pretend I don't feel this." Iris looked at their joined hands, felt the warmth of his skin against hers. "I feel it too. But you're right, the timing is terrible. I can't risk my reputation, my career." "Then we wait," Cameron said firmly. "We keep things professional until the project is complete." "But Iris," his eyes held hers with magnetic force. "I'm not going anywhere. When this project is done, I want a real chance with you." "Okay," she whispered. "We wait." But waiting proved harder than either anticipated. Over the next 6 weeks, they worked closely together on the development project. Every meeting crackled with unspoken tension. Every accidental touch felt electric. They maintained professional boundaries, but barely. Late one evening, working alone in Cameron's office to finalize plans, the tension finally broke. Iris reached across the desk for a blueprint at the same moment Cameron did, and their hands collided. They both froze, eyes meeting. "We said we'd wait," Iris whispered, but she didn't pull her hand away. "We did," Cameron agreed, standing slowly and moving around the desk toward her. "Tell me to stop, and I will." Iris stood to meet him, her heart racing. "I can't." Cameron cupped her face in his hands and kissed her with all the pent-up longing of 6 weeks. Iris melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss was deep and passionate, speaking of desire too long denied. "Your apartment or mine?" Cameron murmured against her lips. "Yours is closer," Iris breathed. They barely made it through the door of his penthouse before they were kissing again, urgent and desperate. Cameron led her to his bedroom, taking his time despite the urgency, worshipping her body with hands and mouth, showing her through touch how deeply he felt. When they finally came together, it was passionate and tender at once, two people who'd been fighting connection finally surrendering to it completely. Iris felt cherished and desired in equal measure, saw in Cameron's eyes the same intensity of feeling she knew was reflected in her own. Afterward, lying tangled in his sheets, Cameron traced patterns on her bare shoulder. "No regrets?" "Not one," Iris said honestly. "But Cameron, the project isn't finished. People will talk if they find out." "Let them talk," he said fiercely. "I'm tired of hiding how I feel about you. The next morning, Iris woke in Cameron's arms feeling both blissfully happy and terrified. They'd crossed a line, and there was no going back. "Good morning," Cameron murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple. "Sleep well?" "Better than I have in months," Iris admitted. She turned to face him. "But Cameron, we need to talk about how we handle this." "I know." He sat up, suddenly serious. "I want to be with you, Iris. Publicly, not just behind closed doors. But I understand if you need to keep things quiet until the project is complete." "It's not about wanting to hide," Iris said carefully. "It's about protecting both our reputations. If people think I got this contract because we're involved, they'd be wrong. You got this contract because you're brilliant. I know that. You know that. But people will still talk." They decided to keep their relationship private for the remaining weeks of the project. It proved harder than expected: stolen kisses in empty conference rooms, heated looks across meeting tables, text messages that grew increasingly intimate. Then, 3 weeks before the project's completion, everything fell apart. A gossip blog published photos of Cameron and Iris leaving his building together early one morning. The headline screamed, "Sterling CEO's secret romance. Did architect sleep her way to $1 million contract?" Iris saw the article during her morning coffee and felt her world crumble. Her phone exploded with calls from colleagues, clients, even her parents. The comments section was brutal: gold digger, opportunist, proof that women couldn't succeed on merit alone. She called Cameron, her voice shaking. "Did you see it?" "I'm handling it," he said tersely. "Don't read the comments, Iris. Don't engage." "Handling it how?" "Cameron, this is my reputation. My entire career. Come to my office. Let's talk in person." But when Iris arrived, she found Cameron in a heated conference call with his PR team. Through the glass, she could see his frustration, his anger. When he finally emerged, he looked exhausted. "My team thinks we should issue a statement denying the relationship," he said. "Say we're purely professional, that the photos are misleading." Iris felt something cold settle in her stomach. "And what do you think?" Cameron ran a hand through his hair. "I think I'm tired of letting other people dictate my life. I think I want to tell the truth, that I'm in a relationship with an incredibly talented architect who earned her contract on merit alone." "That'll make it worse," Iris said quietly. "They'll never believe I got the job fairly now." "Then what do you want to do?" Iris looked at him, this man she'd fallen for so completely, so quickly. "I think I need to walk away. From you, from the project. It's the only way to protect both our reputations." "No." Cameron's voice was firm. "Iris, I'm not letting you walk away from the biggest project of your career because some gossip site wants to sell ads. It's not just one site. It's everywhere. People I respect are questioning my integrity." "Then we fight back," Cameron said intensely. He took her hands in his. "We release a statement acknowledging our relationship but making clear the timeline, that you won the contract on merit before anything personal developed. We let your work speak for itself." "And Iris," his eyes held hers. "We stop hiding. I'm proud to be with you. I won't pretend otherwise." Tears stung Iris's eyes. "You could lose business over this. Investors don't like scandal." "Then they're not investors I want." Cameron cupped her face gently. "Iris, I've spent years building my company, building my reputation. But none of it means anything if I can't be with the person I love." "Yes, I love you. I should have said it sooner." "I love you too," Iris whispered. "But I'm scared." "Then we'll be scared together." They released a joint statement that afternoon, acknowledging their relationship while emphasizing the merit-based nature of the contract. Cameron's PR team arranged interviews where he spoke passionately about Iris's talent. Iris let her designs speak for themselves, presenting the project at an architectural conference where it received standing ovation. Slowly, the narrative began to shift. Other architects came forward to defend Iris's reputation. Community members praised the development plans. Even some of the harshest critics admitted the designs were exceptional. 6 months later, at the grand opening of the completed development, Iris stood beside Cameron watching families explore the community spaces she'd designed. Children played in the green areas. Local business owners set up shop in the ground floor retail. Residents moved into apartments they could actually afford. "You did this," Cameron said softly, his arm around her waist. "You made something beautiful and meaningful." "We did this," Iris corrected. "Together." Cameron turned her to face him, and Iris saw something in his expression that made her heart skip. He dropped to one knee right there, in front of the building they'd created together, in front of the community they'd served. "Iris Morgan, 6 months ago you literally fell into my life during a rainstorm. You've been falling into my heart ever since." He pulled out a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. "Will you marry me? Will you build a life with me the way we built this building, with passion and purpose and love?" Iris was crying and laughing simultaneously. "Yes. Yes, absolutely yes." As Cameron slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her to applause from the gathered crowd, Iris thought about that stormy evening when she'd opened the wrong car door. What had seemed like a disaster had led her to everything: love, partnership, purpose. 2 years later, they stood at their wedding overlooking the Seattle skyline, the development they'd created together visible in the distance. Iris wore a simple gown, Cameron a charcoal suit that reminded her of that first rainy evening. "I'm glad you can't see without your contacts," Cameron teased during their first dance. "And I'm glad you let a soaking wet stranger invade your car," Iris replied, resting her head against his chest. They'd built something together, not just buildings, but a life. A partnership based on mutual respect, shared values, and love that had surprised them both with its depth and staying power. Their story became a favorite in architectural circles, the woman who literally stumbled into her future. But to them, it was simply their beginning. The wrong car, the right person, and a love that proved sometimes the best things in life come from beautiful mistakes.